How's it going, everybody? Max Hawkins here. First thing what I want to say is happy late 4th of July to everybody. As I record this, it's July 5th, one day after the fact, and one day removed from a great birthday for the greatest nation in the world. Greatest nation the world's ever seen. Hope everyone was safe. Hope no one drank and drive. Hope everyone had a good Independence Day, barbecuing, swimming by the pool, whatever you did. Hope it was well. It was a little bit different 4th of July weekend for me. I got sick last Friday, and really all I did was lay on the couch and watched a fascinating documentary Saturday and Sunday. 30 for 30 series, OJ Made in America. I'm going to delve into that on a later podcast. It was just really groundbreaking, fascinating stuff. May review that whole thing. 5 parts. It was awesome. But yeah, so I didn't do much, laid around sick. I'm still trying to get over this, if you can kind of hear it in my voice. Sorry about that. I'm talking to you with my new Blue Yeti microphone. I told you guys that when I got a little bit of money, I was going to go out and buy a new microphone. And I did just that, and I think y'all guys are going to, I think the sound quality is a lot better. I think you're going to be able to hear me speak, hear guests speak a lot better. Maybe not, just my opinion, but I think it's a lot better. And I went and bought that when I got a little money. Sorry there was no podcast last week, but I was just kind of busy. Cole was busy too. Ended up turning 21 last Wednesday, so it was kind of a busy week. Kind of cluster going around. So sorry, but this week it's 2 for 1. I talked to Cody Butler, and Cody is one of my buddies. He's from I've known him since I was really young, and he follows the sport of MMA. I mean, almost more than anybody I know personally. He knows every fighter, watches every fight, damn near buys every pay-per-view, just really immerses himself in the sport for somebody who doesn't professionally cover the sport. And he knows everything about MMA. And he was just a really good talk. We talked for damn near 2 hours. So it's a little long, but stick with it. It's pretty damn good. It's pretty good stuff. We talked about UFC 200, everything you need to know about going into this pay-per-view on Saturday. All the storylines, everything. We talked about the fights that are coming on Thursday night on Fox Sports 1. Talked a little bit about the Ultimate Fighter finale that'll air on Friday night. And then we even delved into a little pro wrestling. It was kind of just a free-for-all, but, I mean, we did make some picks on who we think is going to win the fights on UFC 200, so stay with us for that. That'll be at the end. Look, thank you guys. Thanks for the support of the podcast, and without further ado, here's Cody Butler.
All right, we're back this week. I am out of my podcast office here on Angola with my buddy Cody Butler. Cody, tell me a little bit about yourself, man. Cody's filling in for Cole this week. Cole is out, and we're going to talk, man, UFC 200. It's fight week, Cody. Like,
getting close.
I mean, you can feel the chill bumps coming on you, right? I mean, yeah. Jones Cormier, Brock Lesnar coming back to fight Mark Hunt. That's just UFC 200, but there's 3 fight cards this weekend. First one being the UFC Fight Night, Dos Anjos versus Alvarez on Fox Sports 1. Man, Rafael Dos Anjos is a beast, right?
He is.
I mean, he's kind of an axe murderer, and he was supposed to fight Conor McGregor. How many months ago was that? Back in February. But then McGregor ended up fighting Nate Diaz, right? Yeah,
Rafael Dos Anjos pulled out with a knee injury, I believe.
Yeah, knee or foot, something like that. But
you're right, it was a broken foot.
Yeah. So that's the main event that night, and then Ultimate Fighter, they have a fight card going on Friday night, which is their kind of season finale, right? The
Correct.
2 coaches are going to fight. The women's strawweight champion, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, going to fight.
Claudia Gadelha.
Okay. I haven't been watching this season. You've been watching this season?
Not really.
We're going to kind of skip over that then, because we know we haven't both been talking about it.
I watched those 2 fight the first time.
Okay.
And it was a very close fight. She's fought Joanna closer than anybody else has.
Joanna's got a nice niche for herself in that strawweight division.
Yes,
man.
she does.
She's not on the level of Ronda yet, but she could possibly get to that kind of level if she keeps on winning. I will definitely be watching that fight, though, even though I haven't been watching The Ultimate Fighter. And then, of course, like we said, big UFC 200. It's going to be the biggest fight card in history. If you're an MMA fan, you cannot miss it.
No way.
That's absolutely. But we're going to get off started, and, man, this podcast, we're just going to talk about the fights and stuff, and I'm going to let Cody give his predictions for some of the big fights, and I'll say what's going to happen. And tell me a little bit about yourself, man. How long have you been an MMA fan for?
Probably about 15 years.
You started off first UFC when it was Ken Shamrock and Hoist Gracie?
I watched it when I was a kid years ago when they first started out with the sumo wrestler and the little white kickboxer kicking guys' teeth out.
They didn't have weight classes in, huh?
No weight classes.
And then, of course, The Ultimate Fighter 1 comes on, and just Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner have the greatest fight in really MMA history, and just set the world on fire. Was on Spike TV, and then Chuck Liddell comes and all these other guys, and then Brock Lesnar, and then the women's division. And it's just awesome to see how much it's grown from like not having a weight class to, I mean, it could literally, this pay-per-view could literally do over 2 million buys come Saturday.
Oh, no doubt.
And that's like Mayweather-Pacquiao type buys. And for my money, it's much more exciting than Mayweather-Pacquiao boxing. Man.
Yeah, by far.
By far. But we're going to get it started off with Thursday. It's a fight card. UFC Fight Night, Rafael dos Anjos versus Eddie Alvarez. And two big fights on there is obviously Rafael dos Anjos and Eddie Alvarez. But the co-main event, heavyweight Roy Nelson is fighting a New Orleans guy, you told me, Derek Lewis.
Yeah, that's correct.
Tell me a little bit about it, man. Like
Derek Lewis and Sean Jordan, I know a little history about them. They came up fighting together in the amateur ranks.
Sean Jordan was the fullback at LSU, right?
Correct.
Big son of a bitch, can do a backflip in the ring.
Yeah. And they fought last year in New Orleans again. Sean Jordan beat him the first time and then beat him in New Orleans with a super kick, knocked him out.
Shawn Michaels style, huh?
Absolutely. HBK. And but Derek Lewis has been on a tear here lately.
Okay.
He took out Gonzaga his last fight.
Gabriel Gonzaga?
And
he's a legend.
Mopped the floor with him.
Okay.
So he's looking real impressive, but you can never out Roy Nelson because Roy Nelson
has a chance. Who's the only person that's knocked him out? Mark Hunt, right?
Mark Hunt.
And Brock Lesnar's going to have a tough time with him.
Yeah.
Come Saturday night, and we're going to talk about that fight really extensively. But the last fight I saw Roy Nelson fight was he fought Josh Barnett, and it was in Japan. It was a 5-round fight, and they beat the shit out of each other. But and Barnett had the better fight, and he was the better fighter. He won. He was a unanimous decision, but he couldn't knock Roy out. So and Roy, man, I don't know if it's that big beard, you just can't reach his chin or what, man. But it just seems like he's so tough and stuff. So, do you think Derek Lewis has the knockout potential to beat Roy Nelson?
No, I do not.
You think Roy Nelson's gonna kind of get back on his little streak or whatever with the heavyweight division?
I actually do. I think Derek Lewis. Gonzaga looked sluggish when they fought. Like he didn't really want to be in there. He's getting older.
He's got to be close in his 40s. Or close to it, huh?
And I know Roy Nelson's getting older too, but Roy Nelson isn't showing any signs of slowing down.
No.
And Roy Nelson and Sean Jordan trained together.
Okay.
There's always heat between Sean Jordan and Derek Lewis.
Really? They don't
like
each
I
other.
read on Twitter and Facebook and all that. So they're not fans of each other at all. So I know Roy's going to try to help out his buddy and get a knockout.
Well, man, anytime Roy Nelson fights, it's always good to watch because you know you're going to see something. You know you're going to see a show.
And Lewis called him out.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
So he's looking for it.
He looked for that.
Well, he's
fight.
a young guy, got to make a name.
Exactly. That's what he's supposed to do.
So,
but he better be ready.
He might. I mean, I don't know much about the guy, but he may be bit off a little bit more than he can chew. We'll see. But Roy Nelson's a tough son of a bitch, and I, like you, I don't know much about Derek Lewis, so I almost can't speak to who's going to win. But Roy Nelson, just the established fighter and type of fighter he is, man. Yeah, it's going to be hard to beat him. So moving on, Rafael dos Anjos, the lightweight champion of the world, is fighting Eddie Alvarez. And Rafael dos Anjos is a murderer, man. He is, and we've talked about this a little bit a couple minutes ago. But what do you see with this fight, man? Like, what do you expect for this? Rafael dos Anjos coming off of a bad foot injury.
I think the foot's going to be fine. Both of those guys bring constant pressure all the time. Eddie Alvarez stays in your face. So does dos Anjos. It's going to be whoever strikes first. and it's going to be a war.
My first exposure to Dos Anjos was whenever he beat Cowboy Cerrone. I wasn't entirely. To me, the lightweight division is not what it once was as far as star power.
No way.
There's clearly talented guys in there, but it's not BJ Penn, Sean Sherk, all those guys like that.
Florian.
Kenny Florian, Jens Pulver. It's not that anymore. And even sometimes, Matt Hughes would move up and down. I don't know if he ever fought lightweight, but I mean, it was always BJ Penn was the king of that division. Frankie Edgar was in that division too.
Yeah.
He's moved down to featherweight. But
Dos Anjos, when I first watched him, was when he beat Ben Henderson. That's when I really started paying attention to him.
Benson Henderson was a bad dude.
He was.
Still is a bad dude.
Yeah. And Dos Anjos knocked him out.
Well, I can tell you this. I was pretty familiar with Cowboy Cerrone, and he's a guy that will fight anytime, 6 times a year, 8 times a year, and he's always in shape, and he's a bad dude. But he looked like a child against Rafael Dos Anjos, and the fight was over in less than 2 minutes by TKO.
Yep.
It was really bad. And
I'm not sure if fighting 8 times that year didn't hurt him more than it did help him.
well, it might, yeah.
Because he did not look himself in that fight at all. And
I
maybe
think-
Dos Anjos took him out of his game.
I think this fight right here is kind of being overshadowed because of the big fight cards this weekend. But this could really be a fight of the year type material, man. It's like you said, they're both going to be constantly pressuring each other. Going to be, it's going to be like kind of a chess matchup for a little while. I think they're going to get in there and fill each other out for maybe the first round, but then probably let loose. And I don't think Dos Anjos, like you said, will be hurt coming off of an injury. But it's kind of a hard fight to predict, but I'm going with the champion, man. He's looked dominant so far. I think it's going to be a good fight, but I don't see why he shouldn't win this fight.
After watching Eddie Alvarez come up in the WEC and watching him, I'm just called Bellator, and watching him dominate Anthony Pettis,
who was once a great champion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the upset.
Well, I think we're going to see some upsets in fights this weekend. And if it's there, it's going to be there. If not. But I do want to speak to this real quick. Rafael Dos Anjos was supposed to fight Conor McGregor back in February. He had to pull out with the foot injury. Do you think this is a step down for him? Do you think he still wants that fight with McGregor to make all that money and stuff? Like, where do you think his head is at? Because I don't know if you saw the press conference when they were still going to fight each other. He may be a man of few words, but McGregor kind of looked like he was in his head a little bit. And I know he was unbeatable until February. I know his kind of aura has went down a little bit. He can be beat. Where do you think his mindset is for this fight?
I think everybody wants to fight McGregor. Just for the money.
For the money, huh? Yeah.
He promotes himself.
That's right.
All you have to do is sit there and then go in there and fight him, and
dude,
you get paid.
Are you a pro wrestling fan?
I am.
Conor McGregor is the Ric Flair.
He is.
Of the UFC, man. He's the styling, profiling, sells his own fights and stuff. So, yeah, everybody wants to fight him. And do you want to see that fight between Rafael Dos Anjos and Conor McGregor? Do you want to see McGregor move around in weight classes?
I'd like to see that because I think McGregor can be effective at 155.
They say it's hard for him to cut that weight to go down to 145.
Yeah. I do not think he can fight at 170. I think he is making a mistake by going back and fighting Nate Diaz. I think he's just trying to do that to make himself feel better and try to get a win. I think he'd be better off. I don't think he'd beat Dos Anjos. I really don't.
Dos Anjos is a tough fighter, man. Conor's got a... we're kind of getting off subject here with the UFC 202, but this is a free-for-all, man. We talk about what the hell we want. So, but Conor McGregor, man, it's just got this aura around him, man, and he's Dana's baby and stuff, so he's kind of like what he was going to do, what he wants to do, and all his fights are going to sell. But maybe he'll have, since he is going to have a lot more time to prepare for this fight against Nate Diaz, and since he did on short notice, maybe he'll get his cardio up. But you watched that fight. Conor was tagging him in the first round.
He was.
I mean, Nate, and this isn't any disrespect to Nate. Nate is a magnificent fighter, but if you would go back and watch that first round, you'd be like, oh, it's going to be a tough night for Nate. And then McGregor was just out of breath in the second round, and Nate Diaz can swing too.
But he was hitting him with everything he could and wasn't hurting him. He busted him up, but he wasn't hurting him.
And I'm a big fan of Conor McGregor, and I don't mean to put him down either, but I guess my co-host, kind of my roommate Cole, we were saying going into that fight that he don't know if he didn't know if McGregor could knock Nate Diaz out because he's like, man, he can knock out all these little 145 pounders because he's really bigger than all of them.
Yeah.
He can knock out Jose Aldo. He can knock out whoever the hell else, but does he really have the power to knock out a big 170 pounder like Nate Diaz, who's just as big as him and maybe stronger than him, and I think that kind of proves the point right there,
I mean, he walks around at 168.
Yeah.
Cutting no weight.
No.
So you figure, he's cutting 30, 35 pounds to fight 145. That's a lot of weight.
Oh, absolutely.
And then when you get half of it back, that's a lot of weight you have on your opponent. Nate Diaz told him coming in, you can knock out those midgets, but you're not going to knock out me.
Man,
can't do it.
Those war of words going into that fight were so good. Like you said, Conor can promote anything, and Nate's kind of just like, he sits back and lets it come to him. And
bitch, come get me.
Yeah, bitch, come get me, or well, I knocked your ass out last time. What you got to say about that? You lost, bitch, or whatever. He's just a funny guy, and he's kind of chill. But man, Nick and Nate, it's always good whenever those guys fight. And I think they kind of screwed Nick over with this last suspension or whatever.
I do too.
Yeah, it's kind of BS. But we're gonna move on. So that's Thursday night. So like we said, MMA fans, this entire.
Yeah, one more thing.
All right.
Before we move on.
Go ahead.
You have another Louisiana fighter on that card.
Okay.
Alan Joban, who has been on a tear lately.
Okay.
He's lost one fight, I believe, out of his last 5 or 6. And he took that fight on short notice.
The one that he lost.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's from Lafayette. Definitely one to keep your eye on.
Okay. What weight class is that?
I believe it's 170. Welterweight.
Okay. Welterweight. And who's he fighting?
He is fighting Muhammad. This guy's last name. I've never heard of him.
That's the good thing. That's also the good thing about this is fight week, man. It is. And Thursday night you're gonna have this card with the Rafael dos Anjos and Eddie Alvarez on Fox Sports 1. Friday night you're gonna have the Ultimate Fighter finale on Fox Sports 1, and then you're gonna have the pay-per-view UFC 200 on Saturday night. And even though we don't know all these fighters, they're gonna have so much exposure this weekend. Because if you're an MMA fan and if you're an MMA journalist and anything, you're gonna be watching. So it's good for everybody. It's good for the superstars, and it's really good for everybody on that UFC 200 card because they're going to get paid come pretty soon.
I like to see John Modesi come back too, from breaking his jaw against Cowboy Cerrone.
Really?
He's a tough little guy.
We'll see, man. What do you think about Cowboy Cerrone's last fight he had?
I thought it was awesome. I think
He's back to form?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Moved up a weight class and took out Patrick Cote, who's been on a 3-fight win streak. Cote once fought for a belt against Anderson Silva at 185. So, I mean,
so they were in middleweight now?
No.
They were in
Cote
welterweight.
went down.
Cerrone moves to lightweight and welterweight as he goes, right?
Yeah.
He's flexible. Okay.
Cote used to fight middleweight. I think he even fought light heavyweight one time. But he fought Anderson Silva years ago. And he's still a young guy, too.
Mm-hmm.
But he moved down to 170 and has been really doing good. And then he ran into Cowboy the other night and had no answer for the combinations he was throwing at him.
I heard Dana White on another podcast say that this has been like last week. He said that he's real good friends with Cowboy Cerrone, and he was glad to see Cowboy Cerrone come out with that performance. But he says, this is what he said. Cowboy sometimes kind of gets lazy and isn't the same fighter from fight to fight. So he said he hopes he can continue the win streak and the aggressiveness that he displayed the other night. So, I mean, with that being said, anything else you want to talk about with this Thursday night fight card?
I believe I covered everything. Keep a watch out for Alan Joban.
Man, I will. He's the Cody over here, man, the expert over here. So we're going to move on to the Ultimate Fighter fight card. And like I said, I haven't been watching this season, man. I think I almost want to slap myself in the face for this because I am, I do consider myself a big MMA fan, and that's a lot what this podcast is. But the last Ultimate Fighter I watched was the one with Kimbo Slice, and it's the one Roy Nelson ended up winning.
Yeah. Knocked out Kimbo in the first fight.
Yeah. Yeah, Kimbo didn't last much. But let's talk about Kimbo for a second, man. He died a couple weeks ago, and he never, all due respect, he never was a good fighter. But anytime I've said this before, anytime he fought, it was kind of like, I got to be watching this when he fights because you don't know what the hell you're going to see. Whether it's he almost gets knocked out versus Ken Shamrock in Bellator, but then comes back or almost gets choked out. Sorry, but then comes back and knocks him out. I mean, it's just he was a humble guy, and I didn't expect that from him. That's just for me watching The Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, I agree. I watched every one of his fights that came on. I remember when he first fought in, I think it was Elite XC.
It was so exciting when he was first fighting. He's like, man, he's YouTube sensation. He's knocking people's eyeballs out on YouTube.
We watched all them when we were younger.
It was brutal, man, brutal. But that last fight against Dada 5000 or whatever the hell in Bellator, that was
garbage.
Yeah, and that it's obvious that Kimbo had a heart problem and stuff, but neither one of those guys were in shape for that. But with all due respect, though, man, Kimbo will be missed in this world. But
did you see the Brendan Schaub's little tribute to him?
No, I didn't see that.
Brendan Schaub said they had a fighter. Brendan Schaub was fighting somebody to go to the finale against Roy Nelson. And he said he was in there trying to sleep. Couldn't sleep because, fights the next day.
Yeah.
Finally goes to sleep. He said Kimbo and 2 other black fighters come into his room. I said, "Yo, Schaub, get up, man." He said, "What? What's going on?" "Man, they got a dude downstairs talking about our people. Talking about all this neo-Nazi stuff. Come on, we're finna whoop their ass." He said, "Well, Kimbo, I'm all about not being racist and stuff, but I'm not black." He said, "You not?" He said, "No, man, I'm not black." He said, "See, that's why I like you, Schaub. You don't know what the fuck you are."
Bruh. Do you listen to Brendan Schaub's podcast that he does with Brian Cowan?
Yeah, I catch it every now and
then. I catch it every now and then. It's called The Fighter and the Kid, and this is a free endorsement for The Fighter and the Kid, man. But both those guys are pretty damn funny.
Yeah, they are.
And they've both been on Joe Rogan's podcast, who I listen to
his pretty
regularly. Man. Dude, Joe Rogan's awesome. I hope he never... There's rumors that he's going to be finishing up with the UFC pretty soon because he's a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
And he said he really views UFC as his side job. He says I'm a stand-up comedian first, and he's got a very popular podcast. But it's gonna if that does happen, it's gonna be hard to not hear Joe Rogan on the fight card calling the fights, man, with Mike Goldberg because he's awesome at what he does.
I agree.
And Mike Goldberg is awesome as well.
I think Brian Stann does a good job.
Really?
Since he started, I really enjoy listening to him because he can kind of give you the same thing as Joe Rogan's really a MMA.
He was a
fighter.
he was a taekwondo.
Fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
He trains MMA.
Yeah.
So he knows what's going on, and he can kind of walk you through the fight if you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And teach you as you go if you're a casual fan.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian Stann kind of does the same thing. Kenny Florian does too, but I've never been a fan of Kenny Florian, so I really don't
Ben
like
Stiller.
listening to
It looks
him.
like Ben Stiller, man.
Yeah, dude gets on my nerves.
But so do you think Brian Stann can replace Joe Rogan if he comes?
I mean, that'd be my choice.
That'd be the leading guy
for me.
Okay.
This is I like listening to him. I don't think he would. I think he can take people through the fight and keep it entertaining and keep it interesting.
Yeah.
For people that don't watch all the time and for people that do.
Right. How many people do you think are going to become MMA fans that aren't this weekend?
A lot.
It's kind of ruined boxing.
It has.
I think that was never on more display than when Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather fought last summer. MMA has ruined boxing. There's money in boxing with Floyd Mayweather now, but I'm not paying to see Floyd Mayweather fight anymore, man. I mean,
I could care less to see him dance around the ring and hit a guy.
If he fights Conor McGregor, I'll watch it, which is big ass rumor. I don't think it's going to happen, but yeah. So all right, let's talk about this women's strawweight championship, man. Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus
Claudia Gadelha.
Claudia Gadelha, yes. I'm sorry, I'm working on my cell phone right here trying to pull this up. But, man, what do you expect from this? You said it was an awesome fight last time, right?
They hate each other.
Really?
This is like John Jones and Daniel Cormier type hate we're talking about.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, big time hate. They just don't get the attention because they're women fighting at
115 or whatever the hell it is. You know
what I mean?
Yeah.
So, Claudia Gadelha is Brazilian, and she is bad to the bone. And I think if anybody's going to beat Joanna, it's going to be her.
So is that what you're looking for? I'm not going to predict a fight because I haven't been watching this season. But
I wouldn't say – I'm kind of expecting it because you got to look at this when they're coaching. That's a distraction to them.
Yeah.
Now I know they film this way in advance, so they can go through the fight camp and all that.
Yeah.
But all in all, it's got to take away from you.
There's no doubt it's going to take something.
And I'm like you. I haven't been watching it, but the highlights I've been seeing, Joanna's team has been getting massacred in the challenges, in the fights. So.
You remember when I said I watched the last Ultimate Fighter I watched was with Kimbo Slice on it? I think Rampage and Rashad were the coaches. I take that back. The last one I watched was when Chael Sonnen and John Jones were the coaches. And it was the same thing. Chael is a much better coach than John Jones. And his team, two of his fighters that he was coaching, that was the finals. It wasn't even a Jones guy versus a Sonnen guy.
Yeah.
So that kind of goes to speak to it, like, Joanna might not be a good coach, but she is an excellent fighter.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be interesting to see with that.
John Jones was trying to get his next little hit back then. He wasn't trying to coach a fighter.
Yeah, man. John Jones was a little bit distracted. And, Chael Sonnen has said about that. He's like, man, I took that fight for the money. He's like, I kind of knew I wasn't going to win that.
Yeah.
I took that for the damn money, I was going to sell the fight.
And he did.
He did. You ever listen to Chael's podcast?
No, I have not.
You need. Chael, to me, besides this one right here, I'm just joking. Chael's podcast is kind of the ultimate MMA podcast. It's short, it's to the point, and it's boom, boom, boom. Here it is. So
I miss Chael as a fighter. I can tell you that.
Chael was the Conor McGregor back then, man.
I like Chael though.
The American gangster.
Yeah.
No, man. Chael was great. So
I got choked out with 3 seconds left. I wanted to throw my TV out the door.
Oh, dude.
Not so bad.
Dude, yeah, that it kind of sucks that he was never champion, man, because he should have been and he deserved to be. So he deserved to be champion so bad, man. So that kind of sucks in a way. Joanna Jędrzejczyk has recently come out and said that UFC needs to do a 125-pound women's division. Do you think there only needs to be 2 women's divisions, or?
I think you could go 125, and I actually think you could go 140 or 145.
Chris Cyborg coming in,
exactly.
right?
Because did you watch her last fight?
No, it didn't.
Man,
she's a destroyer.
Absolutely.
She's been on the PEDs before.
It's like watching a man fight a woman.
Well,
almost like that. I'm not saying she would dominate everybody because they probably got somebody that can cut and get to 140, 145 somewhere, but doesn't entertain.
She beat the shit out of Gina Carano.
Yes, she did.
Bad.
And that was my boo. I love Gina Carano.
Gina Carano is fine. She made Gina Carano look not so good. But what do you the big fight forever was supposed to be Chris Cyborg and Ronda Rousey before Ronda lost. Do you think that fight's going to happen now?
I think it may.
I think it all depends on what Ronda Rousey does, right?
I don't think Ronda Rousey stands a chance.
Really?
Not watching Cyborg fight Leslie Smith and just demolish her.
What happened to Ronda Rousey? Was she just kind of ahead of her time when she came on and there was nobody who could match her in skill, and now everybody's kind of catching up to her? Or did she just get... She was never a boxer like Holly Holm. Did she just get caught one night? Like, what do you think happened with that?
I think she ran into the part where she couldn't take her down.
She was a lot bigger.
Holly's long, and
yeah,
it's a hard time to take down somebody long when they sprawl. And Holly Holm took the right angles that she needed to take. And once Ronda got frustrated, her mind was gone. Seemed like to me when I'm watching that fight.
Yeah,
she got mad.
Every time she went in for a takedown, she would get tagged.
She missed her whole body one time and ran into the cage.
Yeah. Stone Cold Steve Austin said it best for Ronda Rousey. She's got that BMF walk when she's walking down to the ring. That bad motherfucker walk.
And she is.
She is. And it's almost like she gets so entwined in what she's doing, she's just like looking at you like this, and she won't even touch gloves, but she just comes out aggressive as hell. And then I guess she met somebody who's a lot longer than her, like you said, in Holly Holm, a lot bigger than her. And somebody that's just you're not going to come at me swinging because I'm going to tag you in the mouth. Holly Holm was a Golden Glove boxer, right?
Yeah, kickboxer.
Yeah. I think she was the first person to transition completely from boxing and become a champion in MMA.
Yeah.
I think that's what Dana White said.
You're right.
So that fight was kind of ruined when the rematch for that fight, I should say, was kind of ruined when Holly Holm lost. But I still want to see that fight.
I'm not sure Ronda Rousey's mind is in the right place still.
I don't think it is. I know that Ronda got her jaw rocked. I know she had a medical suspension. But what I'm about to say may sound kind of messed up because Dana White and Joe Silva and UFC have done a great job putting this UFC 200 fight card together when they've had pullouts from McGregor and pullouts from Diaz. But UFC 200 doesn't really seem like it's really complete without Ronda Rousey, does it? In my opinion.
The fight I wanted, I got. So, I mean, I was...
Jones and Cormier?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the big blood feud, yeah.
I could care less about McGregor being on there. I could care less about Ronda Rousey being on there. I was going to buy it anyway.
I was going to buy it anyway.
But with Jones and Cormier, that's the fight I wanted to see.
And then certain badass put it over the top, right? Lesnar and Hunt.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
put it over the top for me.
Yeah.
This was going to be can't miss. Let's move on to UFC 200. We're going to talk about a few fights right here. The first one is Joe Lozon and Diego Sanchez. That's going to be a war right there, man.
It is. Those are two older guys, been in the game a long time, both love a bloodbath.
Yeah, that is going to be crazy. I mean, like you said, both these guys are a little bit, not long in the tooth, but they're older than they once were. Man, I remember when Diego Sanchez was fighting Clay Guida. Yeah. And they were just flying around the ring, man, and it was crazy. What do you expect for this fight? Who do you think is going to win? I mean, I don't really think it's a toss-up, to be honest with you. I haven't seen both guys fight in a while.
I agree. I watched Diego Sanchez fight his last fight, and he looked good fighting a younger guy. I want to say he got beat by a decision, but he looked better than he's looked in a long time.
I think they kind of have the opinion on Diego Sanchez. He's never been champion before, but anytime he gets in the octagon, it's going to be an exciting fight. So they kind of put a lot of these up-and-coming guys like has he fought Stephen Wonderboy Thompson?
No.
Okay. I mean,
that's a different division.
Wait, they're not fighting welterweight?
Diego Sanchez moved down to lightweight.
Okay.
He came back. He moved back down to lightweight, and actually wanted a featherweight fight, I believe. But I don't know.
He might be getting a little bit too small. That's a big bulked up guy, man. He's got a lot of muscle on him. I don't know if he needs to fight at featherweight. That could be stretching it a little bit, but I think this is a toss up.
These two guys mirror each other. I mean,
they do. They're similar fighters.
Yeah.
It could be fight of the night. And it's a shame that it's not on the main card, but man, this is such a stacked fight card. This really is. How many former champions do you have on here? 1, 2, 3. How many former and current? I should say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 former champions, or 8 current champions fighting on this card. Next one I was going to talk about was T.J. Dillashaw. Just lost the bantamweight title a few months ago.
Fighting Assunção.
Yeah.
Or Sunshine, how you say it. He's that's going to be a good fight.
Yeah. Do you think T.J. Dillashaw is going to rebound from his Dominic Cruz loss?
I think he can. Now, this guy is not a slouch at all.
No, absolutely not.
And they fought before. I think Dillashaw beat him by decision. And I heard Assunção talking about it, saying that he had tried a different weight cut before that fight. Didn't work out for him. Felt sluggish. Didn't feel like himself. So this time he's going to do things differently and get himself in a title picture. He's confident coming into this fight. Yeah. So it's all going to be about who shows up.
The T.J. Dillashaw Dominic Cruz fight, I watched that, and I'm a T.J. Dillashaw fan. But, I mean, you can't take anything away from Dominic Cruz. He came back from, 2 years he was gone from injury?
Yeah.
Came back and won the title. So you can't take anything away from the guy, but he just didn't look himself in that fight.
I don't think he won that fight.
You don't think he wanted it?
He won it. I scored it for Dillashaw.
You think Dillashaw? I have to go back and watch it again, man. To me, he didn't really look himself, but that comes to question because if it's tight, the champion usually gets it. They usually give it to the champion.
And I was going to say, I'm old school like that because to me, if you want to beat the champion,
you have to beat the champion.
You have to beat the champion.
Yeah.
Now, you can have a dominant decision, but it's got to be dominant.
Yeah.
And that was not dominant to me.
Okay.
I think he didn't take good angles, didn't have good footwork that night. Dillashaw tagged him just as much as he tagged Dillashaw. And It was just they gave it to Cruz.
Man, speak to the, Uriah Faber just fought recently. He fought Dominic Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
That was the next fight. He lost. What do you think? Uriah Faber needs to kind of retire? I think he's gonna. I think him and T.J. Dillashaw are gonna fight before it's all said and done.
I think they can both make money off that fight, and it'd be crazy for them not to.
I think that's a pay-per-view fight.
Absolutely, no doubt. And Dillashaw and Faber would be a definite pay-per-view buy. Faber looked good coming out against Dominic Cruz, but when Dominic Cruz tagged him and Faber figured out I've been talking all this shit saying that he couldn't knock me out and he just flattened me on my ass, then he started to back up a little bit. And once he started backing up, he never stopped the whole entire rest of the fight.
I didn't get to watch the fight because
dominated.
My cousin had an engagement party that night. So, excuse me, I didn't get to watch the fight that night. But I heard that it was pretty one-sided.
It was
that Cruz,
nothing like the rest of the other two fights they had.
It's kind of sad to see that Uriah Faber has never really been able to catch on in UFC like he did whenever he was in WEC, because that dude was the man in WEC, man.
Yeah, he was.
So it kind of sucks in that way, but I think they will fight, and I think that could probably be a retirement fight for Uriah Faber.
It's going to have to be, because he'll never get another title shot. He's the only person in UFC history to go 0-4 in title shots.
Yeah.
They're not going to give him another title shot.
No. And he's kind of lost his aura. But if he fights C.J. Dillashaw, the beef and the feud between there.
Student versus teacher.
Right. Explain the rivalry a little bit, man, for the listeners. They're on the same team, right?
Yeah. Uriah Faber was the coach at Team Alpha Male, where he brought Dillashaw up, Cody Garbrandt.
Paige Van Zandt is on that team,
Paige
right?
Van Zandt's on that team. Another guy, I can't think of his name, man. Looking at his face, I can't think of him. Danny Castilla. And they all trained together. Dillashaw ended up leaving for Team Elevation with, what's his name, man? Dwayne Ludwig.
Okay.
Dwayne Ludwig came into Team Alpha Male to help train.
Mm-hmm.
Left Team Alpha Male. I guess him and Cruz couldn't get along. I mean, him and Faber. And started his own team, Team Elevation, in Colorado. Dillashaw goes over there, leaves his whole team, people that brought him up behind to go train with Dwayne Ludwig. And to me, that was kind of a bullshit move.
Yeah.
You don't leave the people that help make you.
No.
Because without Faber, he would have been another name lost in the shuffle. He might have got there on his own eventually.
Right.
But not nearby as quick
Uriah
as he
Faber
did.
had, regardless of what we just said about Uriah Faber, he has the name.
Exactly.
His name means something.
And he brought those guys up and got them attention and got them noticed. And for T.J. Dillashaw to leave him like that, I know it left a bad taste in his mouth.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, if they ever fight, it'll definitely sell.
Yeah, for sure. I would watch it in a heartbeat. Speaking about Team Alpha Male, Paige Van Zandt has recently come on pretty strong as far as viewership and superstardom. She hasn't won a title yet in UFC anyway, but she was on Dancing with the Stars. She's hot as hell.
Yes, she is.
Do you think she has a potential to be the next kind of Ronda Rousey type fighter for the women's division?
She can, if she focuses on what she's doing, because she's a good fighter.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because speaking about UFC 200, obviously UFC worked out a deal with WWE to get Brock Lesnar. Rumor had it that in return, WWE wanted, one of the things they wanted was Paige Van Zandt for SummerSlam, which is the second biggest WWE pay-per-view of the year behind WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that. I'm just saying this for the listeners. But she turned it down.
Yeah.
She said, no, I'm focused on UFC, which I think is good for her. I think that works in her favor, unlike Ronda Rousey. She's making all these damn movies and shit. I think that kind of...
And was on WrestleMania.
And was on... She messed over Triple H and Stephanie McMahon.
Yeah, she did.
I was ready, man. I was ready to see WrestleMania 32. Ronda Rousey and The Rock team up against Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, man.
You might see it now.
You might see it. Look, we're going to talk about Brock Lesnar in a second, but Vince McMahon is a smart businessman. He got something in return for letting Brock Lesnar fight this one fight, and it's not just a happy Brock Lesnar.
No.
He's going to get something in return, and it's probably going to be Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania.
That's what I'm guessing.
I'm guessing that too.
Or Conor McGregor.
Is Conor a big wrestling fan?
I don't think he is, but he's a money fan, and that's
Damn
that's a money business.
Yeah. I mean, you can make more money in WWE if you're a top guy, right?
Well, skipping subjects, Roman Reigns just got popped for a wellness policy infraction.
What do you think that was? Do you think it was? They haven't come out and said whether it was drugs or.
I saw him live in Baton Rouge on the 12th.
He's a big son of a bitch, huh?
And he looked gigantic.
Think he was on the juice.
Not a doubt in my mind. But he.
Man, I could sit here. We could talk a whole podcast about WWE, man.
I did some reading today.
Okay.
Said Triple H made him apologize to the whole
I read that today too.
locker room, and he's going to lose $100,000. At least that's a low figure for being suspended for 30 days.
Yeah, so he's making some damn money right now.
You figure what the UFC fighters make. You look at the pay scale when they come out of a fight.
Only the big guys make the big money.
Exactly.
You know.
I think Cody Garbrandt made $25,000 for beating Thomas Almeida, and he was the main event on a fight night card.
Yeah. I mean, you get your bonuses and stuff, but
yeah, you train for 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, you don't fight, man. Wrestlers wrestle 5 nights a week.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a UFC fighter, maybe if you're an up and comer you fight more, but normal guys fight 3-4 times a year at the most.
Yeah, and then you got to pay for all your training.
Yeah.
I think they did a little bit better now. I think they're paying for the medical expenses so they get hurt during camp or whatnot, you know.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, which definitely should have
a lot
happened
better
a
than
long
that
time
bullshit Reebok deal they're making them do right now.
ago. Yeah, it's garbage.
Yeah.
You're going to lose a lot more fighters than you lost already because of that deal.
Absolutely.
But you figure $100,000 in 30 days, they can afford to pay McGregor.
Oh, man. Vince McMahon has the pocketbook to pay for that son of a bitch.
So he's going to pay him some money to come on a pay-per-view. He doesn't even have to fight.
Who do you think he'd fight? I mean, who do you think he'd wrestle?
I don't think he has to.
He doesn't have to.
I think he'd get in there and do
He'd get in there and talk
like Ronda Rousey did. And
talk some shit to Triple H.
Yeah.
What do you think about Dean Ambrose winning the title? I loved it. All 3 Shield members have been a world champion, and all 3 of the. I mean, even speaking of Roman Reigns, he just got suspended, but all 3 of those guys are main event guys, man. Seth
I loved
Rollins,
it too.
Dean Ambrose.
I enjoyed it to see all 3 of the Shield members.
They were all champion in one night.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is.
You know, there was supposed to be, I don't know if it's still going to happen, that the next WWE pay-per-view, which is in, I think it's like July 24th or something, it's called Battleground. The main event was supposed to be Roman Reigns versus Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins, all for the title. All 3 Shield members in the triple threat. I want to see that. Don't get me wrong. I want to see that match, but that is a match that I believe is WrestleMania main event worthy. I don't think they need to waste it on a Battleground card. So now that Roman Reigns has been suspended, I would rather see just a one-on-one match between Ambrose and Rollins because those 2 guys can throw down, and maybe Reigns shows up and does. I think he got to come back as a bad guy, right?
Absolutely. His suspension's up before Battleground is on.
It's like but he won't be there for any of the build-up for Raw, huh?
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
shouldn't be. I'm thinking he's going to make a heel turn and join Seth Rollins and Triple H. That's my.
I think Roman's going to turn bad. I think he's going to make a heel turn. I think the crowd is going to turn Roman, which they've already started doing. I think Seth Rollins is going to become the babyface. I think Dean is just going to be Dean.
Yeah,
Everybody
like he
loves
always
him.
is.
Like he always is. He's kind of a tweener.
Kind of like Brian Pillman was back in the day.
Yeah, he has a little bit of Stone Cold Steve Austin type in him. Not near on that level, man. Austin was my favorite wrestler of all time. And I think the greatest of all time, but I think you're going to see a Triple H and Seth Rollins match, which I think will be awesome.
I think they should have did that a long time ago.
Well, Rollins came down with the knee injury, so
I think you would have saw that at WrestleMania.
You know, man, it's interesting. I do too. It's interesting to see. You watched this last year, WrestleMania. A lot of people were injured. John Cena wasn't there. Seth Rollins wasn't there.
Randy Orton.
Bray
Wyatt.
Yeah, Wyatt didn't wrestle. It was another big one. Maybe that was it. But your top star, John Cena, wasn't there, and your champion for the entire year, Seth Rollins, wasn't there. It kind of underwhelmed a little bit critically. Now, they got 100,000 people in the Dallas, Texas Stadium, which was awesome. But I think they're kind of everybody's starting to come back. AJ Styles, man, he's picking up hell.
Yeah.
That dude's the best worker wrestler in the ring.
He was there live when I went and watched, and he is phenomenal, like he said.
He's the phenomenal AJ Styles,
great.
right? Yeah, he
and he's old.
yeah, he's 40 years old.
43, 44.
Hey, dude, he's an older guy, and he's the best wrestler in the ring. I mean, I want to see that guy matched up with so many people. Him and John Cena had a great match at Money in the Bank. I want to see them wrestle all throughout SummerSlam. I want to see him wrestle Seth Rollins. I want to see him wrestle Cesaro. I want to see him wrestle Brock Lesnar. Him and Roman Reigns had great matches. You know what I think WWE is ultimately building up to? They're building up to the Shield triple threat match. But also, they're going to put those three guys back together at one point, and they're going to fight AJ Styles and his little faction over there, right? That's going to be awesome to see those guys put back together one night.
I hope they do.
They
I think
need
they broke
to.
them up too soon.
Maybe. Yeah, there's an argument. WWE could go in so many storylines, but we're going to get back to UFC 200 in just a few minutes. I want to hear your take on NXT. You familiar with NXT?
Yeah.
They're doing some awesome shit down there right now.
They are.
Man, Finn Balor. Have you heard about this Japanese dude named Shinsuke Nakamura?
Yeah.
That dude
He
is...
used to fight MMA.
Yeah. He's legit. He was in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He was on that strong style. Man, people can say what they want about pro wrestling, but if you're a wrestler in Japan and New Japan Pro Wrestling, your shit looks real.
Yeah, it does.
You can't see through a lot of that. So he's a legit guy. Man, they have a lot of guys in
Samoa Joe, older guy.
Samoa Joe, champion now. You can't.
Yeah.
There was rumors that AJ Styles and Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson are called the Club. Well, the reason they're called the Club was because they were in New Japan Pro Wrestling. They had the Bullet Club. Mm-hmm. It was kind of like the NWO of the Japan.
Yeah.
And Finn Balor was the leader of the Bullet Club at one point. So there was rumors, and I would hope to see this, him come up and join that club, because I think you need a little bit more star power if you want to take on the Shield.
Nakamura was in it too.
Shit, all three of them. If you had Nakamura, Finn Balor, and AJ Styles versus the Shield, it's not even a title fight, and that could main event WrestleMania right there for me.
You're right.
That's awesome. Let's get back to the UFC though, man. Next fight I want to talk about. Let me get back to my picture here.
Johnny Hendricks and Kevin Gastelum.
Johnny Hendricks is fighting on this card?
Yeah.
Kevin Gastelum he won the Ultimate Fighter one year, didn't he?
Sure did.
The year that Chael Sonnen he upset Uriah Hall.
Yeah.
Uriah Hall was supposed to be the next Anderson Silva. He had that crazy ass knockout with the kick.
Yeah. And Gastelum's fighting. He's a tough guy, but he's ran some bumps along the road too, and never really made it to where he could get in line for a title shot yet.
Man,
Beating Johnny Hendricks.
Hendricks really looked bad against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson at that fight night. I think that was like around Mardi Gras when they fought. And Johnny Hendricks was one of my favorite fighters in the welterweight division whenever he first fought St. Pierre and stuff, and he was just a big badass country boy.
To me, he beat St. Pierre.
Yeah, I think he did too. And then St. Pierre retired.
Dominant decision. That was a dominant decision over a champ, and they didn't give it to him.
He eventually got it, but then ran into somebody called Robbie Lawler.
Yeah,
and
man,
that dude is him and Carlos Condit can have some wars, right?
Yeah, Robbie Lawler is probably the most vicious fighter there is in MMA,
and it took him a while to become that.
Yeah.
He was like a 500 fighter in his early days. He would win one, lose one, win a few, lose a few. So
I think he lost to Nick Diaz and KJ Noons and a couple more of them in Strikeforce.
If you look at his record, you would look at it and be like, that's not the record of a champion. But he is really progressed as a fighter.
18 years old. That.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that.
And how old is he now? He's in his 30s probably.
Yeah, probably 35.
Oklahoma boy, man. He's tough. He's big for a welterweight.
Yeah, he is.
He's a big-ass dude. So what do you think of in this fight, man? Johnny Hendricks, Kevin Gastelum. You think Hendricks is coming back for a win?
I think if Hendricks goes back to cutting weight the way he used to, because like we're talking about,
he missed that weight cut. Yeah,
he missed the weight cut, changed that to way he cut weight, and he looked terrible.
Yeah,
he made weight, but he looked terrible. Now maybe it was just Stephen Wonderboy Thompson that made him look terrible because he made Roy McDonald look terrible
in the last
fight.
That was the night of the engagement party, so I didn't get to watch that. Cole said that fight was boring. I've heard mixed things on it. Dana White said if you're an MMA fan, you said that's boring, you should be shot in the head or whatever the hell.
I don't think it was boring at all. I think it was real technical fight.
Okay. Kind of like a Floyd Mayweather boxing fight.
Yeah. I mean, Wonder Boy used his kicks, used his angles.
He was fighting smart, right?
Exactly. And I think he broke his nose in the second or third round. He broke Roy McDonald's nose again. So Roy McDonald was fighting, trying to survive with a broke nose, and he was kind of protecting it, kind of not, and he knew it was broken. He was going in for it, and he was tagging.
He couldn't do much with it, huh?
No, it was the fourth and fifth round. He was fighting with one arm over his face and sticking one arm out, trying to jab him.
Yeah,
I mean, it just in that part, I wouldn't say it was boring because he was still trying to take angles and make shots and make things count, go for takedowns, but he couldn't get anything. Mm-hmm. Of course, I don't think he would have got anything if he wouldn't have broke his nose because Wonder Boy Thompson's on another level now.
You think he's going to be the next opponent for Robbie Lawler?
I do.
That's going to be a good fight right there, man.
I don't think he can match up with Robbie Lawler.
I think Robbie Lawler is just... I think Robbie Lawler will go in and Robbie Lawler looks like he wants to murder somebody.
He does.
He wants to fight.
Exactly.
I don't know. I'm not discounting Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, but I think...
No, because I like him.
I do like him. And he's tall and he's got the lean build and stuff like that. Speaking on the welterweight division, while we're on it, when the hell is CM Punk going to fight?
202.
You think he's going to... What do you think about his fight with Mickey Gall?
202 or 203. Whichever fight that...
McGregor and Diaz are on?
No, it's Miocic and...
It's 203.
Alice Rovering.
203.
Yeah, 203. That's when he's fighting.
Yeah. Because 201 is... Who's fighting after 200? 201 is...
201's
Robbie Lawler's fighting. Yeah.
And Tyron Woodley.
What do you think for CM Punk's upcoming fight, man? Do you think he's going to make the... He's said that he's done with WWE. He's never going to come back.
I don't think he can go back.
I think everybody goes back eventually.
I think he... Yeah. I mean, a lot of people burn bridges. Bret Hart, number one example.
Stone Cold Steve Austin. Except he didn't come out and publicly say all the BS
like Bret Hart and CM Punk have.
Yeah.
But Bret Hart's family had a rich wrestling background. I think that helped him to get his foot back in the door. And he has a niece wrestling this still, and his nephew were wrestling at the same time.
I think if CM Punk wants to come back, I think there's too much money on the table to not let him come back and wrestle Triple H or wrestle whoever on a limited schedule. But I don't know if he wants to come back. He said it that he never has. Now, he may just be working.
His wife was the longest reigning Divas champion until last year, and she up and left.
Yeah.
So she
left right as the going was getting good with the women's division, right?
Yeah.
Charlotte and Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch and all those other guys, man. But what are you expecting for his upcoming UFC fight? Do you think is he too old? Like, he's 37, 38 years old. Like,
I think Mickey Gall dominates him. I watched Mickey Gall fight.
I watched Mickey Gall. He fought that same night that Johnny Hendricks lost to Wonderboy Thompson.
Fought Michael Jackson.
The singer?
Might as well be. Looked like him. But I think that would have been Michael Jackson, and CM Punk would have been a better fight than Mickey Gall.
Really?
Because
Mickey
Gall's tough.
UFC obviously signed CM Punk for a fight because he does have the star power. And he's going to draw. I'm going to watch him fight. You're going to watch him fight.
Yeah.
Wrestling fans who aren't fans of UFC are going to watch him fight.
And every MMA fan is
going to watch him fight to see him get his ass whooped.
Exactly.
Same thing. But I was going to say same thing as they did with Brock Lesnar, but CM Punk ain't Brock Lesnar.
No.
He wasn't the NCAA Division I heavyweight champion. Are you rooting for him to win?
No.
You don't want him to win. You want to see him go back to wrestling, or you just don't want him to win because you think he's a...
I'm not rooting for him or against him. I mean,
I just want to see it.
Yeah, I like to see it, see how far he's progressed, because all the reports are coming out, and they're liable to just be saying that he's getting beat up by all these guys in the gym to make it look like he's garbage.
There's reports. I haven't seen those. I mean, I've seen a little bit. I hear a lot about Punk, then I don't hear a lot of him for a long time.
Said he's fought 15 or 16 kind of
spars,
different kind of practice fights, and I think he won 3.
That's what the report says.
Out of 16, something like that.
Well, Mickey Gall's definitely got the age factor on him versus CM Punk. And
Mickey
CM
Gall's
Punk's had a
23.
lot of injuries in wrestling, man. Like, I don't know. We'll see.
He's in a good camp. I know that. With Duke Rufus.
I want to see the guy. I want to see him fight. I kind of hope he does well. Not discounting him. I think it could be a long night for CM Punk.
He's over there with Anthony Pettis and Ben Askren and all those guys. So I mean, it's not like he doesn't have a good base to come from to try to make himself better. And whether he can do it or not, that's all going to be on him.
Yeah.
He's got all the tools.
Well, we'll see, man. And what is that, a fight in September?
Yeah.
Well, 3 more months. We'll see you then. All right, next fight. Kat Zingano versus what's the girl's first name? Pena?
Julianne Pena.
Julianne Pena. Kat Zingano, I mean, her husband is a world-class MMA fighter, right?
Correct.
She's coming up. They really had Kat Zingano pegged as somebody that could legitimately beat Ronda Rousey whenever Rousey was still champion. And then he passed a couple of years ago. Oh, he did?
Yeah. Right before she fought Ronda Rousey, I believe.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, rest in peace. But Kat Zingano did fight Ronda Rousey, and she lost.
But 15 seconds.
Yeah, as did everybody else until she fought Holly Holm. But what do you expect for this fight, man? Like,
Zingano looks good. She really does.
Okay.
And she trains with Dominic Cruz. He's been helping her with her footwork and her angles, because that's where, and trying to keep her timing down. Because what she does, she gets too carried away, like she did against Ronda Rousey, and runs in there, and Ronda Rousey caught her. I think I'm not sure if she beat Miesha Tate or Miesha Tate beat her. One or the other. But they fought before.
Miesha has fought Ronda how many times?
Twice.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was 3 at first. I think it's only been twice, but
might be 3, because she beat Miesha.
They've all fought each other a lot because there wasn't any opponents.
Yeah, it was a handful of people.
It was only you didn't have many people. You had to put her up against somebody. But so you think Zingano may be ready to get back on track and possibly challenge for a belt in the future?
I think so. I think if she wins this, she gets the next shot, because Holly Holmes, she's floating around somewhere. I don't even know if she has a fight lined up.
She does.
Does she?
It's a fight night after UFC 200 a couple weeks later. Man, who is she fighting? Hold on, I have it right here.
I hadn't heard about that one.
Let's see. Go to the next event. Shit. All right, UFC on Fox. Home versus Shvanko. Sounds like a Russian name.
Ah, that's that girl just coming in.
July 23rd, 2016.
Yeah.
Think it's a fight for Holly to get a win back?
Yeah, I really do. And I think those two need to fight, because Zingano's style matches up with Holly's better than anybody's there is.
Yeah. Dude, we're going to talk about Miesha Tate in a second. So, how surprised were you whenever Miesha beat Holly?
Wasn't.
You wasn't surprised at all?
I picked that.
Okay. It
because of the wrestling.
Same reason why a lot of people pick Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor.
Exactly. I picked that one too. Holly.
That night messed up a lot of Dana White's plans for the future.
Absolutely.
But then it creates all this
if he
other
had
shit,
hair, he would have been pulling it out.
Yeah, you're right. All right, man. Let's get to the main card now. There's going to be 5 fights on the main card. Everything we've talked about since is all preliminary.
Yeah.
This is the main card here. This is the most stacked card I've ever seen in my life. UFC 200. First fight, former heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez, who I think, in my opinion, may be the baddest dude in the heavyweight division, fighting fellow heavyweight Travis Brown, who seems like he's always close to getting that title, and then something happens, he gets hurt, or he fights up. What happened to him? He got liver punched, or did he fight like a roided up Alistair Overeem or something? It seemed he was knocking people out because he's a knockout artist, and then something like that. He got hurt or something.
He always gets to where he's almost a number 1 contender, and then he gets beat.
Right.
Every time.
You think it's going to be this again?
I do. I think Cain Velasquez dominates him.
I do too. There's no way this fight is going to last 3 rounds or whatever the hell it is.
I'd be surprised if it lasted a round and a half. Or a half a round.
Well, you know, it's funny because when Cain came in and shocked the world and beat Brock, you know, I remember I was at my Uncle Stuart's house. You might have been there yourself. That was crazy. And then he comes back and he loses to Junior Dos Santos, maybe the next fight or whatever. And
the first UFC fight on Fox.
Really?
Really. They were headlining that card.
That's right. But after that, Cain seemed like he was a man on a mission and beat the hell out of Bigfoot Silva. That was like the bloodiest fight in UFC history. Then he just beats the shit out of Dos Santos, then beats Dos Santos again. I thought that guy was going to be heavyweight champion for the long term, and he was. And then Fabricio Werdum comes up. He beat Fedor Emelianenko, and he beats Cain. And they were supposed to fight again whenever Miocic won the title from Werdum, but Cain had a back injury. So now they put him on UFC 200. I think Cain's going to be a man on a mission again.
I think he is too.
I think he's got 5 rounds tattooed on his stomach or whatever. I don't think that's for nod. I mean, he's a legit badass, and I think he's going to come back with some vengeance.
I think his camp's taking a lick right now too, with Rocco just losing to Bisping. And I think he wants to.
That's got to be the best camp, strongest camp.
AKA.
Yeah, I mean Rocco, Cormier, Velasquez.
They just get hurt, man. And I think
do.
it's all just because they're all legit badasses.
They're beating the shit out of each other
every day.
Yeah. Cormier has the best training partner ever because when he spars against Velasquez.
Yeah.
What better guy to spar against? And he says Velasquez's cardio is out of this world.
Yeah.
And I've heard Velasquez doesn't even have to diet to catch weight. He eats fried chicken and stuff like that. It's crazy. But I'm like you, man. I think Cain Velasquez is going to come in and man on the mission. And I'm not discounting Travis Brown. I just don't think he's going to beat Cain Velasquez.
And I'll tell you, it's got a lot to do with the training too, because everybody's criticized Ronda Rousey's trainer for a long time. I can't think of his name right off the top of my head.
Yeah, somebody said they needed to get a new trainer.
And he trains with him too. And as long as he has him, because he's not the type of fighter that Ronda Rousey is. Ronda Rousey in her division is at a whole different level than he is as a man in the heavyweight division.
Yeah.
Unless he gets in a big camp. Because he has all the tools.
Yeah.
He's long, he's strong, he kicks hard, he punches hard.
Mm-hmm.
He got good jiu-jitsu. Unless he has a trainer that can utilize all that and help him grow, he'll be stuck in a rut
like he is
the whole time he's fighting.
Next fight. Jose Aldo versus Frankie Edgar for the interim featherweight title. There's so much storylines going on behind this, man. McGregor is the champion, supposed to be. He's off trying to win multiple belts or do whatever the hell he is. We could spend a whole podcast on McGregor, man. But where do you think Jose Aldo's head is coming into this fight? Because I hadn't seen. I mean, Jose Aldo walked in. I think McGregor got in his head so much in the build-up to that fight. They were supposed to fight in the summer. They ended up both getting hurt. Jose pulled out. It was talked about that he was basically kind of a puss about it. And then they finally fought around Christmas time, and I just think McGregor was in his head so much and was like, I'm going to kick your ass. And, I mean, you could see Aldo walking down the ring like, and I don't know if he does this every fight. He was walking down with his head low. He wouldn't even look him in the eye when they went and met in the middle. I think he lost the fight before he stepped in.
I think he did too. And all of that is I think the mental aspect of it just took so much of a toll on him.
I do too.
Talking about his family and all that. He's not used to that. He's used to fighting people that are respectful. And then here this guy comes in.
It's kind of different. You got one's the Brazilian, the traditional martial artist, all this other stuff, and you got the loudmouth Irishman.
Respect. And then he comes in here and talking about his kids and all this other stuff.
And also, say what you want to say, but Dana was pretty pissed that he ended up pulling out of that fight in July.
Oh, yeah.
About that. So he had
all the money they spent on the world tour and all that.
Yeah. So what do you think? And Frankie Edgar is looking probably the best I think he's ever looked in this division right here.
After knocking out Chad Mendez?
Yeah.
Man.
This is going to be it could be a hell of a fight if Otto comes in ready to fight.
I think last time when they fought for the belt, that was one of the closest fights I've ever seen.
Jose and Frankie.
Mm-hmm. Very. It could have went either way. Neither one of them dominated either one.
To me, it's all about if Jose comes in it with it on his mind. If he comes in ready to fight, I think he has a good chance of winning. Not saying he'll win, but I think if he comes in with it on his mind, he'll have a good chance of winning. If he doesn't, he's going to get his ass beat.
You got to think in the back of his mind.
It's just what it comes in as.
He's seeing Conor McGregor.
Well, that was supposed to be. And again, it's kind of messed up because McGregor is the champion of this division, but he's not even fighting.
Yeah,
he's like pissed on y'all.
I think both of them want McGregor.
Absolutely.
But they both got to get through each other first.
Right, and UFC and Dana White and Joe Silva were kind of criticized because they wouldn't give Conor Frankie. A lot of fans felt Frankie earned that fight, but they wouldn't give it to him. Conor wanted to go up in weight classes and hold 2 belts and all this other stuff like that. I think it's kind of died down a little bit, but I think Frankie. It's hard to say if Jose Aldo is done, but I just think after watching that last fight, it's hard not to pick Frankie for me for this fight.
Frankie.
I'm taking Frankie too. It's hard not to pick Frankie, especially seeing how Jose came into that fight. Now he could come in guns blazing, ready to go.
But if he does that against Frankie Edgar can knock him out just like McGregor did.
Oh, absolutely, because Frankie Edgar he was a champion of 155. Mm-hmm. He's bigger than 135 or 145. Sorry, but I think that's going to be a good fight. Oh well, it could be a good fight if Jose Aldo comes in ready. I think that's one of the fights that's kind of been overlooked because of the big 2 fights at the top. But it's a title fight. I've never seen a card with 3 title fights on it.
2 max.
No.
That's it.
UFC 100 had 2. Next fight, Miesha Tate. Amanda Nunes. Miesha Tate.
Absolutely.
They're just feeding her this. I think they're feeding her this to wait for Ronda Rousey.
Exactly. You got
Ronda's not ready to fight.
You got Rousey tied up. Zingano been out for a while since she fought Ronda Rousey.
Did they come and ask Zingano to fight Miesha Tate?
I don't think so. I don't think they. This is how this happened. After Miesha Tate beat Holly Holm, every question that they would ask Amanda Nunes, she'd turn her head and look at Miesha Tate and say, I think I'm ready for a title shot. What do you think, Miesha? After every question they asked her. And then 2 days later, the fight was set. They were going to fight. The date was to be determined.
Yeah.
So, she kind of pumped herself up for that fight. And she had a good win that night.
Yeah.
But I don't see her beating Miesha Tate. I think Miesha Tate's finally has evolved her game.
I think she has too. And if she wins, which I think she'll win, you think she'll win, who do you think her next fight is? You think it's Ronda?
Yeah.
Do you think that's fair? Do you think Ronda should have to fight Holly first?
No, because Holly lost to
Miesha.
Kind of like the deal with Chris Weidman wanting to fight Michael Bisping.
I think Dan Henderson should fight Michael Bisping.
I do too, no doubt.
From a pay-per-view buy point standpoint, people want to see Dan Henderson at 44 or 45 years old get in the octagon and try to win that belt. And I'm not discounting Michael Bisping. I think he'd have a good shot to do it. It'd be like the Randy Couture thing with the heavyweight title when he beat Tim Sylvia.
Correct.
Yeah. I think that's where they're going with that. That was a big upset that Bisping won against Rockhold.
I picked that one too.
You did.
Honestly, I did.
Rockhold didn't even have his hands up in that fight.
He was a minus 750, I believe.
And I was kind of pissed off whenever Weidman got hurt. It wasn't his. It's not his fault because I wanted to see that rematch. Weidman is one of my favorite fighters, and I just wanted to see that. That build up. Weidman walks out to the Tom Petty, I won't back down. He's got the American flag. He's just everybody loves the guy. I don't know
Rocky.
Yeah, like Rocky, man. He's from New York.
I think he's too slow to beat Luke Rockhold, though.
Luke Rockhold's a bad son of a bitch, but Luke Rockhold, I guess, got it in his mind that
he was unbeatable.
Michael Bisping wasn't anything.
Well, you figure, guy Guy took a fight, 2 weeks notice, been filming a movie.
Yeah.
I'm the champion. I've been training for Chris Weidman. This guy can't touch me.
Oh, Michael Bisping can talk shit too.
Yeah.
He's kind of like Conor McGregor. He can talk all the talk.
But I think that's what Luke Rocco was thinking. That no way is this guy going to come in straight off filming a movie.
Their press conference was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is he going to beat me? And damn if he didn't do it.
He did. And I was glad to see Bisping win because Bisping has been a guy that's always been on the cusp. And he's been a fighter for a long time. And he finally it was good to see that, okay, Bisping, you're the champion. You have that. Nobody can ever take that away from you.
That's
you
right.
are the middleweight. At least once you were the middleweight champion of the world. So it was good for Bisping, and I was glad to see it.
I don't think he holds it, though.
I don't think he does either. I think if he fights Dan Henderson, I think that might be a toss-up of who wins. But if he fights Rockhold or Weidman again, I don't think he holds it.
I think Dan Henderson flattens him out of the gate.
Do you like Michael Bisping?
Yeah.
I do too. But everybody loves Dan Henderson.
I don't, yeah. I mean, what's not to love?
If he comes back and wins this middleweight belt, which he's never held a title in UFC, from a record and title standpoint, he could maybe be considered the best fighter of all time.
Yeah.
You know, whether you...
He's held a belt in almost every MMA promotion there ever was.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to skip over the co-main event for a second because I have a lot to say about that. I feel like you do too. Brock Lesnar and Mark Hunt. We're going to go to what would be the main event, Daniel Cormier and John Jones. I have been wanting to see this rematch since John Jones. How long has this been in the waiting for? That was 2 years ago when they fought last? Or
Yeah.
1.5 years ago?
Yeah.
And then they had a big fight before the press conference and everything and all that other stuff. Man, take us through the kind of the build up to that fight. Or the build up to this fight, sorry.
Build up to this fight, you got to start back when Anthony Rumble Johnson was scheduled to fight John Jones, which was last June. And Cormier was scheduled to fight Ryan Bader on the UFC New Orleans card.
Mm-hmm. That's the one you went to, right?
Yeah. Week before the card, John Jones gets pulled over for the hit and run, runs from the cops. They find drug paraphernalia.
Let me pause you right there. But in case everybody should know this, but in case they didn't know this, Daniel Cormier and John Jones fought around New Year's Eve of 2014, 2013. This is the second time they fought.
14.
So and it was kind of a Jones won the fight, but he didn't look his best and he didn't finish Cormier because Cormier is a great wrestler. But
Cormier's first loss also.
It was Cormier's first loss also. So just to set up some history, they fought before Jones beat him, and Jones was high on some cocaine when he beat him, huh?
Yeah.
He tested positive
for cocaine metabolic.
I thought that win should have been stripped from him.
Yeah.
I mean, they went ahead and stripped the belt and shit from him, so.
Not after that, though.
They wait till the hit and run?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, that was another one of Dana's babies.
Yeah.
You know?
That shows a little bit of favoritism right
Absolutely.
there. But continue about the hit and run, so.
Okay, so he gets popped for the hit and run, fights off with Anthony Johnson. They pulled Daniel Cormier off of that card.
And
put him
belt.
on against Rumble Johnson.
I thought Rumble Johnson was going to beat him.
I didn't.
Cormier is from Lafayette and Louisiana, hometown boy, but I just thought coming off Rumble Johnson, man, he destroyed Dan Henderson.
He did. Daniel Cormier threw Dan Henderson around like a rag doll.
He did too. Yeah.
Rumble's cardio has always been an issue. Even when he cut weight and wasn't carrying as much weight, he was still having cardio problems. And
He looked like he could fight heavyweight.
Yeah. And it caught him that night. And that's what got him. He hit Daniel Cormier and knocked him halfway across the ring one time. Across the octagon. And Daniel Cormier, I thought he was done then. But he got him in a clinch, leaned on him, wore him down, the grind, and ended up choking him out.
Mm-hmm.
And Anthony Johnson, real humble guy, put the belt on Daniel Cormier.
Yeah.
Love seeing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then John Jones and Rumble were supposed to fight again. John Jones coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Something happens. He don't want to fight John. He doesn't want to fight Rumble Johnson.
It was
he
the
wants to
first.
fight
It
Daniel
was.
Cormier.
It was the first. What was the first UFC event canceled? Right.
No, that was 151. That's a long time ago.
Okay. All right.
That's
Sorry.
that's Chael Sonnen.
Okay.
When Chael Sonnen wanted him on 2 weeks, and he wouldn't fight him.
Dana White was pissed about that.
Yeah, that was UFC 151.
Okay.
But he didn't want Rumble Johnson. He wanted Daniel Cormier. So they gave him what he wanted. Gave him Daniel Cormier. Cormier pulls out.
He hurt. Yeah.
So.
And Cormier's the champion now.
Yeah.
So it's a different fight now.
Yeah.
Coming up. Then Jones comes back and beats
Owen St. Preux.
Right.
Another tough cat. Former football player at the University of Tennessee.
Really?
Yeah. Defensive end. And
John Jones has that football heritage in him. His brother Chandler Jones plays for the New England Patriots, right?
Yeah, and he has another one that plays for the Ravens.
Yeah, they're athletes. That family right there.
I don't understand though why they put a caliber guy like Owen St. Preux. He's not ready for John Jones. I understand it's a warm-up fight. Maybe that's why they did it. But they kind of led Owen St. Preux to the wolves.
But then right before that, they try to hype him up. Oh, look, this isn't going to... John Jones, you have to really try to beat this guy.
And he looked terrible there.
He did. That's why, man. I'm not going to lie. I want Daniel Cormier to win this fight.
I do too.
He's from Lafayette, Louisiana. I think that everybody has been writing him off as he's a placeholder for John Jones because John Jones was the most dominant fighter in UFC history. Maybe outside of Anderson Silva. It could be debated between them two.
And he could be the best.
He could be the best of all
time
shit
together.
If he's not an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who are you going with in this fight?
Cormier, no doubt.
He's going to win.
I want him to shut Jones up.
I do too. I want that to happen. And I'm going to go with the upset because I think it will be an upset if Daniel Cormier beats him.
Oh, yeah, he's underdog.
Coming in as a champion.
Underdog.
Yeah. That's...
Pretty sizable one, too.
Yeah. How does he beat it? Can he take him down?
I think so.
I heard Daniel Cormier on Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast. Free plug. Steve Austin Show. Unleashed. Great. Steve Austin Show. Great. He said, I'm not going to take any bones about it. This was after the first loss. He said Cormier had already become champion, but Jones was suspended. He said, man, I was devastated after the first loss. He said, but I will tell you what, Steve, that is the only fight I have ever let get to me so much in my mind with the hype and stuff that I had to beat him. 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 Like he said, we will. This was before the fight was scheduled. This has been about a year ago. He said, I can tell you, we will fight again. And I won't be like that the second time. He said, I will be in it and I will be smart about it. He said, when we were fighting, man, he's like, I said, you know what? Screw it, John. You want to throw hands? I'll throw hands with you, man. And I think that's kind of where he lost his. He held his own, too, for a little while.
Yeah, he did, but didn't stick to the game plan.
He didn't stick to the game plan.
Like he did against Rumble, like he did it against Gustafson.
I think you're going to see that was a great fight, by the way.
And if he can fight Gustafson that type, he can beat Jones.
I hope he does. And I think Daniel Cormier, you will see a different Daniel Cormier from what you saw versus John Jones. And, man, I mean, John Jones, he was never in trouble of losing the fight to Owen St. Preux. But he didn't look like John Jones.
No, he didn't.
What do you think that was?
Shadow of himself.
You just think that was because he's just like, I'm going to beat this dude anyway? You think he's cocky? I mean, he is cocky, but...
Oh, no doubt. Some people believe in ring rust. I do. Some people say, no, it's all in your mind.
I think there's a little bit of it. The guy hadn't fought in a year and a half.
Exactly.
Before he fought.
You figure you pick up something you hadn't done in 2 or 3 years.
It's going to come back
all
to
your
you.
Life eventually.
Yeah.
But right out the gate, you're going to have to figure out, hey, man, this doesn't feel normal like it used to. And I think that'll have a lot to do with it. And I'm not sure if he's ready for this kind of challenge after that one little fight.
No.
Especially on this main stage of things, biggest card
of all time, main event.
The thing I don't get either, and you might understand this better than I do, and you might agree with it, I disagree with it, letting him have a belt at every press conference.
Because he's the interim champion. He's not the real champion, right?
Is
that what you're talking about? He's not champion at all. Daniel Cormier is champion.
They stripped him. that fight between Rumble Johnson and Daniel Cormier was not for an interim belt.
It was for the heavyweight
for
title.
The light heavyweight title.
But the fight between Ovince St. Prix and John Jones was for the interim belt because Cormier had to pull out because of injury. Yes, I believe so.
Well, even before that, before they fought, when they were scheduled to fight the first time, every press conference, they had a belt for John Jones and a belt for Daniel Cormier.
So they had 2 belts.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
so they had... No, he shouldn't have the belt.
It's like they're not even stripping him. They hadn't even stripped him. You know what I mean?
Well, and I don't know if they're trying to promote this as champion versus champion because that might sell a little bit more tickets to a common fan versus a hardcore fan like we are. But in the build-up to the Jose Aldo-Conor McGregor fight, they both had titles. 'Cause I remember Conor McGregor saying, pick up your belt, you know?
Yeah.
But McGregor hadn't been stripped of the belt. He was the interim champion.
Yeah, because he beat Chad Mendez.
Right. Aldo was the
featherweight champion.
Real, I guess you could say real champion or the recognized champion. But McGregor didn't walk out with the belt and all that. McGregor still was the challenger coming into the fight. You're saying what are you trying to say that people were trying to say that Jones was the real champion and Cormier's not?
They've been saying that since he got stripped and Cormier won. But
because he technically never lost it in the ring, I guess.
Yeah, but still, the UFC giving him a belt at the press conference when he first comes back, hasn't even had a fight yet, laying him a belt out there in front of him.
Well,
that's kind of a shitty thing for them to do.
I think so too.
And that's another reason why I want to see him get beat. So he has nothing.
So he has nothing to
in
say
front of him. Like the post-fight press
like
conference.
you said, I'm gonna leave it at this, and we're gonna move on to the last fight. But like you said, he's one of he was one of Dana White's babies.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know any other way to say it besides that. So that was actually the main event. Co-main event, the Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar coming back for one night only to fight the badass Samoan Mark Hunt. Where do we start? How can you describe? How can you even lay out the situation to the common listener, common MMA fan that Lesnar is not contracted with UFC? He is contracted with the WWE wrestler. He's a professional wrestler since 2012. How do you?
Brock Lesnar is the scariest man on the face of the earth.
I agree. People can say he was. Whenever Brock Lesnar first came into the UFC years ago, he had a stint. He became the champion. People were coming in saying he's phony. He's a fake ass wrestler. Look, man, like I said, I'm a greatest fan of WWE. You are too. There's people out there that be like, oh man, that's BS. It's fake. You know, fake is not the right word for it. I get kind of offended when people say it's fake.
I don't like that either.
I don't like that shit either.
Scripted.
It's scripted. But Brock Lesnar, there ain't nothing fake about Brock Lesnar. He is a bad son of a bitch. He was the NCAA Division I heavyweight champion, undefeated when he was in college. He was a WWE champion, whether you say he's scripted or not. I mean, if you go and watch Brock Lesnar, there ain't nothing fake about Brock Lesnar. He was a UFC heavyweight champion. This past run in WWE that he's had since he beat Undertaker's streak at WrestleMania, I was in the crowd for that. I mean, I bet
that was amazing.
You know, it kind of sucked the life out of everything. It was kind of like, I was like, no, that's bullshit. That didn't just happen. The ref counted too fast. Somebody's about to come out of the back and say, no, restart the match. No, man. I didn't know. Oh, man. But then when Daniel Bryan won the title, it's like Undertaker lost, but Daniel Bryan come back and won the belt, so it's like everybody goes home happy. But talk about that for a second. Do you think Brock Lesnar should have beat Undertaker's streak at WrestleMania?
No.
Just from a fan, you don't want to see it beat because Undertaker's such a.
I don't think he deserves to beat it because he didn't stick with the company. He left, went and did other things. I think a company man like John Cena, 16-time world champion, should have been the one to do it.
If it should have been done at all.
Exactly. If it should have ever been broken, John Cena should have did it.
That's your.
Or Shawn Michaels when they wrestled.
Man, those two matches. That's my favorite pro wrestling match of all time. Shawn Michaels, Undertaker.
I'm very surprised Triple H didn't do it. He got all the pull, you know.
Triple H got the pull, but I think Vince people talk about Triple H, but I think Triple H is a good businessman.
I think he is too.
I don't think he would.
I think if he wasn't, they wouldn't put all that trust in him to run the company like he does.
He will be running the company.
Oh yeah, no
whenever
doubt.
Vince retires. But
And what he's doing in NXT is showing that he can.
absolutely, I will say this though. I don't from the fans' perspective. You never want to see the last. He's the outlaw, the last of the Attitude Era, outside of Triple H. But I mean, Undertaker is just on another level. You know, you don't want to see him lose. Being in the Superdome for that, it was kind of like, what the hell? You know, it would just suck the life out of you. But if anybody was going to do it, and legitimate, it was going to be believable. Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. Did you see the clip where he threw the referee by his pants through the middle of the ropes?
In the Hell in a Cell match?
I believe it was. Picks up a referee,
One hand.
which they look small, but
There are size.
they're regular-sized
Yeah.
human beings. Picks him up by the seat of his pants with one arm and throws him in between the middle and the top rope
Yeah.
with one arm.
Crazy.
Do you know how strong you have to be to do
He
that?
is on. He is. Point we're trying to make is that this dude is not a phony. This dude was the UFC heavyweight champion of all time. He was the biggest draw in UFC history. He headlined UFC 100. It had the most pay-per-view buys ever. I think it might be broken coming Saturday, but let's talk about Mark Hunt for a second. So that's Brock Lesnar. He's coming back for one night only. Vince McMahon's letting him do it. Probably getting something in return, but we don't know what that is yet.
And he's got to be getting something good because if you think about it, Brock Lesnar loses this fight.
What the hell happens? Because Vince has said he will be at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
What happens if he gets a medical?
So, and not just
suspension?
that. That's another thing to look at. But if he loses, his value from the crossover fan goes down.
Not from the traditional WWE, but
Yeah.
right from the crossover fan. It's like
You just got your ass whipped by Mark Hunt. What are you even doing here?
you know, Vince is laying a lot on the line.
Yeah,
with
he
this.
is. Big time.
He's betting on Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Man, have you listened? Have you watched those previews that Paul Heyman has done with Brock Lesnar talking about this fight? I think they've released 2 on the Heyman Hustle.
Yeah.
Bro, Paul Heyman is on a different. First of all, I want to see Paul Heyman walk out to the octagon with Brock Lesnar.
I do too, and he says he's not going to do it, but I
think he
really
will.
wish he would.
I hope he does,
I wish he would.
and I hope you hear that. Doom,
They said they're going to let him come out to his music.
Okay, all right. What you're going to see is you're going to have a lot of WWE fans that aren't UFC fans buy this pay-per-view just because of that.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what another thing Dana was doing by getting him on the card.
Yeah.
Trying to beef up the pay-per-view buys.
Man, whenever I first saw that report from Ariel Helwani, though, that's, Helwani got his cred taken, but now he's back. So, we could talk about that for a lot, too, but we're going to move on to something else. But I was like, that's bullshit. I was like, there is no way in hell Vince McMahon is letting his baby, Brock Lesnar, I mean, you could kind of argue it. He's the biggest draw in WWE right now.
Yeah.
When he wrestles, you have to watch.
Yeah.
If you're a fan, there's no way. He is betting all this.
He came in a class with John Cena,
Batista,
Randy Orton.
AJ Styles. He didn't come in wrestling, but I think they might have been in the same.
They're all in Ohio Valley wrestling together.
Yeah.
Which is used to be like NXT is now.
Right.
Kind of like building foundation to build everybody up.
Yeah.
So you figure, you look at all those guys that he passed up and was world champion ahead of.
He was the youngest world champion in history, I think.
Like leaps and bounds, and
He was 6 months on the main card. He was champion.
Yeah. So you figure.
Do you think John Cena would be what he is now if Brock Lesnar would have never left?
No.
No
chance.
You don't think? He obviously would have been champion one day, but you don't think he would be the poster boy? I love John Cena, man.
I think Brock Lesnar would have been the poster boy as long as he wanted to.
You're right about that. That's kind of the difference between the two. And look, man, I like Lesnar too, but Lesnar is,
Any man that size can get up there and do a moonsault off the top rope.
do the shooting star press. That's crazy.
Man.
One thing, but if we're arguing that, you probably have to say Cena probably cares about it a little bit more than Lesnar, the business side of it.
And he stuck around through the hard times. And
yeah. All right, so that's Brock Lesnar. Mark Hunt. Who is he, man?
Mark Hunt is a bad guy. Came over from Pride when the UFC bought Pride. He's fought the best of the best all over the world. Won some, lost some. But he's another guy that likes to get in there and slug it out.
Right. He'll fight anybody.
Exactly.
You have a wrestler versus a striker. Mark Hunt, dude, I'm sure you saw it. When he broke Stephen Struve's jaw, that was brutal. Mark Hunt, maybe the best knock. He has more knockout power than anybody I've ever seen in my life.
He's got bricks in his hands.
Man, it's gonna be. We're gonna predict winners in a few minutes here, but if I had money, I ain't putting money on this fight. I don't. It's too much factors weighing a few, man. It's a wrestler who hasn't fought who is a bad son of a bitch, but he hadn't fought an MMA bout in 4 or 5 years, versus a badass Samoan with bricks in his hand, like you said. But he's never been champion in UFC. He's always kind of been a guy that'll fight anybody.
Gatekeeper.
Right. But, man, he can knock anybody out. And if he connects with Brock Lesnar's chin, it could be a bad night for Brock Lesnar.
Look at Frank Mir. He hit Frank Mir. Frank Mir didn't know where he was at.
No.
He was trying to grab the referee's legs.
No.
You know? Just. I think the only thing that's going to hurt Mark Hunt is he has never faced anybody as strong as Brock Lesnar.
I don't think he's ever faced a wrestler that Brock Lesnar is either.
Not really. And not only will Brock Lesnar wrestle you, Brock Lesnar will punch you in the face.
He will.
And he will knock you in the next week also.
He will. I don't think Brock Lesnar is going to go in trading hands. I think he's going to try to take him out. I think he's going to try to hit him in the face when he gets him on the ground. You going Brock Lesnar? I'm going Brock Lesnar.
I'd say so.
I think is Brock Lesnar going to take Mark Hunt to Suplex City?
No. will be no Suplex City.
No, yeah.
It will be a double leg and
double leg takedown.
Try to
punch you in the face or
beat his face till he can eat soup out of it.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's going to be.
It's going to be must see, man.
Yeah,
it's going to be must
most
see.
Definitely.
Anything else you want to add about the card, this fight? Anything else, man? Like,
there was one more I saw on there.
Because I got a question for you when we get into talk about these fights real quick, and we're going to end it on that.
I got two guys we didn't talk about. The new up-and-coming Dana baby, Sage Northcutt's on this card.
Okay.
I don't know who this guy is.
What night's he fighting?
On 200.
Okay. Preliminary fight?
Yeah. I think he's on Fox, actually. I mean, on Fight Pass. But he lost to Brian Barberena on the last fight he fought. Barberena just beat another undefeated Brazilian. So it wasn't a fluke that Sage Northcutt got beat.
Mm-hmm.
I really think this guy could be good, but they have got to slow him down. If they don't slow him down, they keep feeding him guys that
he's not ready for.
Yeah, like they're on the cusp of getting into their own. Because he's not ready yet. He's a young guy.
Right.
They need to kind of calm down with him.
Okay.
But I'm interested to see what he's going to do, if he's going to be able to rebound from a loss and have his mind focused where he needs to be. And Gegard Mousasi and Santos, I can't think of what his first name is. I watched him fight.
What division are they?
Gegard Mousasi, I believe that's middleweight.
Okay.
Santos is a bad dude. He's long, strong, kicks like a mule. Mousasi is probably one of the best technical fighters in the UFC. That's definitely going to be one to watch also. I mean, this card is stacked from top to bottom with, Jim Miller and Takanori Gomi is the first fight of the night. That was easily a co-main event on any card, main event on a Fox card.
Yeah.
And that's the first fight on Fight Pass.
It's the most stacked card in history.
Man, it's incredible.
Anything else you want to say about the card, man?
I believe we covered it.
I think we did too. An hour and a half later, I have one question for you. That we've talked a lot about MMA, some about pro wrestling. I am a fan of both. I think some people get in the category of I'm MMA, I'm pro wrestling. You're either or. Pro wrestling or MMA, man. For you.
For me, If I had to pick something to watch,
If you had to pick,
I'd go with MMA.
just because it's legit. I mean, just because it's legitimate, or
I mean, just because I've here lately more fallen in love with that than I have.
you grew up on
Pro
Attitude Era, Stone Cold Steve Austin,
Yeah.
The Rock, and shit like that.
Monday Night Wars,
WCW,
and
Goldberg.
It's not that anymore.
And I don't think it'll ever be like that because there will never be competition like WCW was. I mean, TNA tried, but
No.
you can't call that try. Like
They dig up the dinosaurs and try to
Hulk
make them
Hogan and all those
wrestle.
guys and like that, man. I mean,
And which I liked it because that's the ones I watched when I was younger.
right? You probably flipped the channel, but then you were like,
Yeah.
piss on this. They get in the ring. I'm watching Monday Night Raw where, the best wrestlers in the world are there.
Exactly.
And then, that's not fault New Japan and all that other shit because it's good too. But
I think it's going to be better when they do the brand split here coming up.
I think so too. I think they're going to probably put Cena on SmackDown and let him be the guy over there.
Move some younger guys.
Roman's suspension throws a wrench in it because he was the guy
Yeah.
before. But now what's Vince going to do? Is he going to stick? I don't think you give up on Roman.
No.
I don't think he's good on the mic. I think he's really progressed in the ring, and I think he's got to come back as a bad guy.
I enjoy watching him.
I enjoy watching him too, man. The matches he had with AJ Styles were awesome. I mean, I know AJ's carrying a lot of the load there, but it's going to be interesting to see. I think you're going to kind of see more people get back into it when SmackDown goes live on Tuesday. You got the brand split. You got Monday Night Raw. I would personally like to see Monday Night Raw go back to 2 hours. I think 3 hours is, even for a big wrestling fan, is almost a little bit to hold your attention too long.
Not just that. I mean, when you do the brand split, you're going to have to. You got half a roster you're going to put on another show.
Right, because you're sticking to the roster on SmackDown and roster on Raw. They won't be, as far as we know, they won't be mixing up.
It's going to be hard to do that without disassembling NXT.
Yeah, and they can't completely pluck all of that.
Yeah.
I think Finn Balor's coming up pretty soon.
He's got to.
I think Joe's coming up pretty soon. I think Nakamura might be champion before he comes up, but it won't be too long before he comes up. You're seeing Triple H go out and sign a lot of these guys from Japan. A lot of these former TNA stars. Bobby Roode, even
Great
Samoa
wrestlers.
Joe. Yeah, Eric Young. I think they're signing anybody they can so they can, all right, we'll put you in NXT for a little while, but because we're going to have to pluck Finn Balor and Samoa Joe and all this from NXT. And
Go through the process,
Right.
filter you on up as we can,
right.
which is a good idea. Triple H really has a mind for the business. He really
does.
and he's doing a great job with it.
I think he is too. I think a lot of people that say he was he might have been back in the day. There's probably been cases he was selfish whenever he was on top and stuff like that. But he married Stephanie just because he wanted to become the top. I mean, look, man, whatever. They're still together today. I don't know either one of them personally, obviously, but come on now. People that are saying that have never been world champion before.
They're sour.
Right. You don't hear Stone Cold Steve Austin or Shawn Michaels or Undertaker or whoever the hell else talk about. I mean, what he's doing with NXT is really magnificent. And I think they're setting him up to be. What do you think about Shane coming back?
Loved it.
Jumping off the cell.
Loved it.
Shane McMahon, man. And I think that has something to do with it too. People don't like Triple H as much because they feel like Vince took it all away from Shane, who was the successor, and is giving it to Stephanie and Triple H. But
I don't think Shane wanted it. I think Shane's coming back because they saw the ratings go down, and they got to try to find something to kick them back up.
do you think
What
Shane's
better?
just there as an on-TV character?
Yeah.
You don't think he has anything to do with the business? You don't think he'll get back into it?
I think he'll probably, he has a little say-so, no doubt, because still all in all, it's part of his company.
Right.
But I think
He has shares to that company,
Oh, yeah.
right? Yeah.
I think he's good for the sport because he's been around it all his life.
Yeah.
So he knows it
He's
inside
probably a
and
good
out.
businessman. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's what he was doing those however many years he's been gone was he started his own business doing something.
Right. Well, man, I'm gonna end it on this, but I would maybe I'm such a pro wrestling fan. I would maybe say pro wrestling, but it's hard to say pro wrestling versus MMA whenever MMA is legitimate and stuff like that. But to me, that once or twice a year, whenever a storyline comes around in WWE or anything else, and it feels real, because when it feels real, people get into it.
Yeah, it does.
When CM Punk was fighting John Cena a couple years ago, that felt real, when the Shield were together, that felt real. And I think and when Brock Lesnar comes back, that's real right there. I think that's what catches people's attention. It's just like that's not during the Attitude Era. It was every Monday night because you had Stone Cold and The Rock and all these other guys, and they were legit. People bought into them. I just feel like they need to find whatever they found back then to people to buy in again.
We were talking the other day about the NWO throwing Rey Mysterio upside a trailer.
Yeah.
They need more backstage altercations, things like that, and they're starting to get around to that. And I think it's really going to be good. I think Shane's bringing that back.
Yeah.
Because he was a part of all that.
Well, and at the same time, people kind of get pissed off. Oh, it's PG.
That too.
I mean, people who like the Attitude Era, the cussing and all that other stuff to women, I guess it does have a little something for them, but PG isn't the problem, in my opinion. I mean, you can still have good wrestling and be PG.
I agree.
It will never be the same as the Attitude Era, but
no, because you're not going to have to.
No.
Until somebody comes up with something that's going to challenge them and make them do something different, they're going to coast along like they're doing now.
Which Vince has said UFC isn't competition because it's a different sport. I think it is.
I think it is somewhat.
I think UFC,
especially when you're steady losing star power to it.
Right.
Because Brock Lesnar wins and Dana White says, "Hey, you want the winner of Overeem and Miocic?"
Right. Yeah. What happens if he wins? Do you think? I don't think Vince will let him fight for the title. I really think that Vince is like, this is a one-time only thing for you, Brock. Do you think Brock even cares about being champion?
I think he does because I think Brock's a competitor.
He is.
I believe what he said, and I think especially if Overeem takes out Miocic, then you got Overeem and Lesnar too.
Overeem was roided up as hell whenever he fought
exactly.
Brock Lesnar, man.
Exactly.
Well, dude, this has been great, man. Cody knows everything about it. I mean, he keeps up with MMA more than anybody I've probably ever heard just from listening to, everything inside and out. You want to plug anything? Twitter handle, following you on Facebook, anything like that? Good?
Good.
Man, I hope we can talk pretty soon again. This has been fun for me.
We can do it. We can do a recap. We're going to pick the fights?
Pick the fights. We've been picking them, man. What you mean? Like go back and make sure we got all our predictions for it?
Make sure we got them all right.
All right. Let's do the top 5 for UFC 200. How about that?
That'll work.
All right. What we got? You got it in front of you. You say what you got.
I'm going to go with Velasquez.
I got
Travis Brown.
I got Kane.
I'm going to go with Frankie over Jose Aldo.
I feel like our picks are going to be similar, so I might have to make a different one just because. I'm going to go Jose just because right there.
I'm going to go Misha Tate.
I got that.
Got to go with Lesnar.
If you're a WWE fan, you got to pick Lesnar.
Yeah.
I got to go with Lesnar. I'm going to go with Cormier.
I am also.
I think we're both underdogs in that pick, though. That will be an upset if
Brock Lesnar's an underdog.
Really? I haven't read the odds coming out with that.
Brock Lesnar's an underdog. Underdog.
I would not bet on that fight if I had money to spend.
Edgar and Aldo's head up, so no underdog in that one.
I think if Aldo comes in with it on his mind, it'd be hard to beat him. But if he doesn't, it's going to be a good night for Frankie.
Yeah.
Man, look, this was great. Hope to talk to you soon again. We'll do a recap or whatever.
Sounds good.
Do it anytime, man. And before any big UFC fight, it's been a pleasure.
We'll do it.
Signing off, Cody Butler.
Cody Butler. Y'all have a good one.